executive producer Lilian Garcia. Every athlete is on this quest. Every performer dives in head first, battling real-life challenges and overcoming obstacles in an effort to make their dreams reality. Singer, speaker, and 15-year WWE host Lilian Garcia was the first woman to ever announce WrestleMania and is now the PFL MMA cage announcer. Oh, yeah! And now she's giving you an all-access pass to the human interest stories of elite athletes, extraordinary entertainers, and wellness experts. Now, let's embark on another fascinating journey of chasing glory with your host, Lilian Garcia.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Chasing Glory. So excited to have each and every one of you here. Welcome back if you've been here week after week. And if you're new to Chasing Glory, welcome to the show. Seriously, so excited to have you here. I know there's a lot of new listeners every single week and just so excited to keep growing the Chasing Glory family because we're all a family going through this. Chasing glory is all of us, right? We are all chasing our own glory. We all have our own journeys. And yet when we can hear what somebody else is going through, it helps us. So today I'm so excited because I have Lindsey Stirling on. Okay, so she was on Dancing with the Stars, but even before that, I fell in love with her when I found her YouTube videos. They are incredible. Violinist and a dancer. She's amazing. And then when I got to meet her at Powerful You, I was blown away. I was so excited. She was so sweet. I'd gone to a concert, and I'll tell you all about it. When we get into the interview, you'll hear how I went to her concert and how I discovered her. But it was just really cool that when I met her, you know, sometimes you get scared when you meet somebody and you go, are they going to be as nice as they appear? Well, she was even nicer. She's a beautiful soul. And just so happy for her. She's got a lot going on in the fact that she just dropped her brand new album. That's right. September 6th, it just came out. Artemis is the name of it. Lindsey, congratulations. So proud of you. I know what it's like to put an album together, and I know that it's been like 2 years since you've had your last album. So congrats. It's out into the world, and now we all get to enjoy it and your amazing videos that go along with it and your concerts. So if you guys get an opportunity to go to Lindsey Stirling concert, do not hesitate. This is not just somebody on the stage just playing violin. This is somebody who's dancing, who the costumes change, everything changes, and we talk about it in the interview, so you'll hear it. But she also went through a lot of depression, so heavy depression. She talks about how she overcame it, what she does to continuously battle through that. And so if you're out there suffering from depression, definitely listen to this episode and continue the 5-star rating, and more importantly, letting other people know about the episode. If you know someone who's suffering, let them know, because this is the way that we all don't feel alone and we can help each other out with whatever's going on in our lives. All right. Make sure you follow the show at Chasing Glory Podcast on Instagram. And now we are on video, youtube.com/Lilian Garcia. Lilian is with one L in the middle. So make sure you don't miss out on that, because it's exciting to have it now all come out on video. And then follow me at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and Lilian Garcia official fan page on Facebook. I think I covered it all. So excited though for this episode. But first, I just want to thank one of my newest sponsors, which I'm really excited to bring the sponsors here because they help bring the show free to you. Because it takes a lot to do a podcast, really does, especially now that we're taking it to video. So I really want to thank the sponsors. And I only bring sponsors on here that I feel are top-notch and that can help you. And something that I know that can absolutely help, the top leaders of the world do this, and that is they read. They read a lot of books. They get a lot of knowledge. Well, the thing is, a lot of us don't have time anymore to sit down and read. I know I don't, because I'm wearing so many different hats, but I still want the education. I still want to sometimes even dive into a fiction world. Well, Audible. It's so easy. Just put it in my headset and that's it. I've got it right there in my mobile device, and I can just pick whatever book it is that I want. And I'm now a member of Audible, and I've got hundreds, if not thousands of books at my fingertips. And a suggestion that I give to you to maybe start for like self-help is Robin Sharma. He's incredible. His book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, phenomenal. And then he's got another book called The Leader Who Had No Title. I believe everybody should read that book because it will help you in your workplace. It doesn't matter what title you have, okay? It doesn't matter if you have no title. You'll see what I'm talking about. What I love about Robin is he writes with characters. So there's some like your imagination and you get to fall in love with the characters. This isn't like a boring self-help book. So Robin Sharma, and here we go. For all my Chasing Glory listeners, when you go on your mobile device, just go over to audible.com/Lilian Garcia, okay? Audible.com/Lilian Garcia. Remember, Lilian is with one L in the middle. And then you are going to be able to get a free 30-day trial along with one audiobook and 2 Audible originals. So excited to bring that to you. Audible wants to get everybody here on Chasing Glory on board so that, we can start learning and learning and learning. And like I said, that creates leaders in this world. That gets you into a better place. If there's anything that you're struggling through, there is a book out there to help you. And now you can just listen to it while you're working out, while you're driving, while you're walking your dog through the park. All right, so join us, audible.com/Lilian Garcia. All right, without further ado, here we go. Here is Lindsey Stirling's journey of Chasing Glory. Growing up with humbling beginnings, Lindsey Stirling knew how to maximize any opportunities given to her. At the age of 5, Lindsey would beg her parents for violin lessons, but because they could only afford half a lesson, many would tell her that she would never learn by just getting a 15-minute lesson a week. But persistence paid off, and she would find an instructor to guide her. She also had a strong fascination with dance. She couldn't afford both violin and dance lessons, so she would actually teach herself to dance, which she currently incorporates into her performances. In high school, she would continue playing and pushing the limits of the violin and form a rock band named Stomp on Melvin. The experience allowed her to be comfortable on stage and allowed her to be musically creative. She would also compete in teen pageants, which she excelled in by using her talent and self-expression, which resulted in receiving thousands of dollars in scholarship money that allowed her to enroll at Brigham Young University. Her skills gave her the confidence to compete in the 5th season of America's Got Talent. She would impress the judges by incorporating hip-hop, pop, and classical music with her violin playing, and while she made it to the quarterfinals, she would get eliminated after she was told she was unmarketable. However, even after those words, she was determined, and no matter what, she stayed true to herself. She would use her newfound exposure and began making music videos for her YouTube channel, which boosted her popularity. She would begin collaborating with other musicians and would release her self-titled first studio album, which topped the classical albums and dance electronic albums Billboard chart. She would go on to her first worldwide tour, traveling all over the globe from North America to Australia and everywhere in between. Her much-anticipated sophomore album, Shatter Me, would debut at number 2 on the Billboard 200 chart. She would also be featured on Forbes' 30 Under 30 list and would go on to win numerous awards, including Billboard's Music Awards and YouTube Awards. Lindsey would also author a book, The Only Pirate at the Party, which landed her on the New York Times best-selling list. She would later appear on the 25th season of Dancing with the Stars, making it all the way to 2nd place. In addition to sharing her music, Lindsey would team with the Atlanta Music Project to help spread the appreciation of music to children. She also shares her story of living with an eating disorder in hopes to help others defeat it. Lindsey continues to have her star shining brighter than ever. She has just released her 5th studio album named Artemis and is currently in the midst of her latest global tour. Her YouTube channel has currently over 11 million subscribers with more than 2.7 billion views, and most recently just got nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award. Buckle up, cause it's about to get real, raw, and inspiring with Lindsey Stirling. All right, guys, I am so excited for this interview. She's here. You're here.
I'm here. I'm with you.
Lindsey, welcome to Chasing Glory. It is such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
I got to tell you this story. I told you a little bit of it.
Yes.
But I have to tell my fans here as to how I got to first discover you. Actually, it was through your YouTube videos.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
The tubes.
We will talk about that because I've got so many questions about the YouTube videos. Guys, right now I'm just going to tell you, you got to remember this, Lindsey Stirling and her YouTube videos. Woo! Hashtag, as I say, mind blown. Anyway, so my husband wanted to surprise me. We went away for the weekend to Santa Barbara. And he was telling me, I have a surprise for you, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. We're going to take a little walk. So I'm like, a little walk? He goes, yeah, we're going to take a little walk. And I was like, okay, should I maybe have a little fun with this and do like a Facebook Live? He goes, sure. So I got on my Facebook Live and I was like, hey guys, my husband surprised me with something. I don't know where we're going, but we're going somewhere and let's see what the surprise is together.
Yeah.
So we started taking a little walk and we're going through all Santa Barbara and the suburbs. Like we're in the suburbs.
Yes.
I'm like, where are we going? Because we just left downtown and I don't get where we are, right? And then all of a sudden I see more and more and more people and they're all walking towards one direction. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What's happening? Is that where we're going? He's like, yep, that's where we're going. Like, oh, okay. Is this, what? And then it dawned on me, oh, it's a concert. We got to be going to a concert. I'm like, who are we going to see? He goes, you'll see. And then we get there and all of a sudden your name is in headlights there. And I was just like, oh my God, I flipped out. I started screaming. I was so excited.
Oh, that's so cool. That makes me so happy.
Because literally watching you on all your videos and as a performer myself, like I just can appreciate the art of it and what the work that goes into it.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, sitting in the stands, I didn't know what to expect because I hadn't seen any footage of your show live. Mm-hmm. And so sitting in the stands, I was just like, all right, I'm ready for this. Let's see. And I don't know why. I thought it was just going to be you coming out and playing beautiful songs, but just to a beautiful, like, one scenery. Oh, no. The lights flash, like, everything, like, it is concert time.
Oh.
The sets change. It is unbelievable. Your costumes change. Like, it was like a full-blown rock concert with a violinist, and that's what blew me away. Oh. It's like, it blew me away. Cool. Seriously.
Well, that's awesome. Well, because I've heard that a lot, that people are like, I had no idea what to expect when I went to your show. Because I don't think there's much out there that's like, what I do.
Not at all.
And but it's so cool to hear you talk about it that way, because my greatest hope is, I love performing live. And I always hope that when people come to my shows, that not only are they thoroughly entertained, I hope that they leave being inspired and joyous the same way I feel when I go to like one of my favorite artist concerts. Like, I just hope that people leave with this like empowering feeling. And so to hear you say that just means like the world to me.
Oh no, it was so empowering. I was like, again, blown away is even mild of a word. I want to talk to you though about someone with your YouTube videos that blew me away is, and you were like, here, guys, we're close to the Grove, and I remember a YouTube video that you did at the Grove.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The one with the fountain?
Yes. What the heck? How far along into that? What song was that you did with the fountain? Do you remember?
It was called Master of Tides. It was like a pirate theme song. I wrote it specifically like, I want to make this song feel like pirates dancing.
Oh my God. It was in the fountain. Like,
yeah.
How far along were you in your YouTube videos when you got to do that? Because I always went like, how the heck was she able to pull that off?
Yes. I had probably been making YouTube videos for like, oh gosh, how long have I been doing it even? I'd probably been doing it for several years at that point. And yeah, lots of planning, lots of pulling strings, asking so-and-so.
Yeah, how did you pull it? Like, how did you get the rights to do it there?
I mean, they allow it. They allow filming there. It's just, you gotta, we actually worked with a sponsor for that one, so I could afford to do it there.
That's what I was going to ask you.
That's the thing. And so luckily I had UE Boom, those like speakers, sponsor it. And so we were able to like afford it once they came on board.
Okay.
Because sometimes I get these huge grand ideas and I get so excited about them. I become married to my creativity. And so like, so yeah, by doing that, sometimes I have to like, okay, I need help pulling this off now.
Yeah. I was going to say, all those ideas for YouTubes, those are mostly your ideas?
Yes, so I concept all my videos because I love storytelling. I actually went to college originally to be a director, because I've always loved like videos and telling stories, and so to this day I still concept all my videos, I direct some of them, and I edit all of them. And I love it.
What?
I'm such a nerd. I just get so invested.
Awesome.
And that's why you were saying like the show, you felt like they were all these like costume and set changes.
Yes.
Because I love storytelling, and I want, you know, us to be in a pirate theme at one moment and then in a ballerina music box the next. Like I just love taking people on a journey.
And that's so wild. I didn't realize how much we have in common, because you're saying that's what I went to school for. Is media arts. Filmmaking, producing, and directing.
Yes. That's my love. I love it. One of my loves.
So it's wild that you say that, because sure enough, even with Chasing Glory, I've been editing, I've been, you know, doing this, that, executive producer, you know.
Of
so I
course.
get that. But I feel like yours is even more in a grander scale, because you're, I don't know that I would be able to come up with some of those concepts that you have. They are, do you dream about them and then wake up and be like, I have this idea? Or...
You know, it's funny, people sometimes, I don't think everyone would ever think about how much I sit and think. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, I literally will, like, when it's time to start thinking of new show ideas and music videos, like I'm planning my next tour right now, and I just will spend hours just like thinking and listening to the music and like, you know, maybe getting some inspiration on Pinterest. Like, I spend a lot of time not only like practicing and writing and recording, but just thinking and dreaming up these ideas. And it's like I'll sometimes go through a whole day where I'm like, wow, I don't think I moved much today, like, you know, because I've just,
so it's almost like meditating.
it's kind of meditative. And I know, and I've tried, it's not like I'm a control freak. I've tried to bring on people to like help me in the past, and I've just found that I feel the most connected to the ideas when they came from like here. And it makes it different performing. Like, so I creative direct all my tours. And you know,
my mouth is like, wow.
But it's a lot of work, and it takes just a lot of, like, sometimes I joke with my roommate that I don't have a job because she'll leave for work and then she'll come back and I'm still just like sitting there with my computer like typing out ideas and like thinking. She's like, have you moved today? And I'm like, not today. So
Wow, but you love it.
But I love it. I love the creative process. I think, you know, people think of me as a violinist, and of course, like, first and foremost, I'm a violinist. That's what drives it all. But I think even more so, I'm a creative mind, and I love storytelling and the editing and the videos. Like, the violin's the center of it, but the foundation of it is creativity.
So 2 questions that come to me from right then is, number 1, why the violin? Because you were very young when it started.
Yes.
5? Is that right?
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. So why the violin?
You know, I fell in love with the violin when I was like a tiny child. My parents used to take me and my sisters to like orchestra concerts because they really worked hard to like culture us.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a lot of money, but like orchestra concerts, a lot of them were community events and were free.
Oh, nice.
And so they would take us to these like community shows, and the violinist always comes out at the beginning. You know, the whole orchestra's seated, the conductor comes out, then the first chair violinist comes out, and she tunes the orchestra, and you know, or he, and they get all the solos. And like, I just from a very young age was like, that's the star. That's the star of the orchestra, because I didn't go to like rock concerts and stuff. Like, for me, that was like kind of the Taylor Swift of music, was these first chair violinists. So I begged for violin lessons when I was, you know, 5 and 6, and finally my parents realized I was serious, and I know they sacrificed a lot to give me those lessons because they didn't have a lot of money. My dad was like a freelance writer at the time, and you know, my mom was a full-time mom, and so it was made very clear to me that like, if you don't practice, the lessons aren't going to keep going.
Right.
And so I knew from a very young age that this was something I had to invest in, not just my parents.
And is it true that your parents actually signed up for half lessons?
Yes.
15 minutes?
15 minutes a week.
How can that, I mean, how could you even learn in 15 minutes?
Well, and that's what most of the teachers said. They're like, you can't teach a child like the violin in 15 minutes increments. Like, it's not going to stick. And my mom finally found a college student that was willing to do it. And so that's how I got my start.
Wow, so college student. Have you ever contacted or been in touch at all?
We can't remember her name. I'm sure she has no idea who I am because I was 6 years old, 6 to 8. She taught me for 2 years when I was a tiny kid. I'm sure she has no idea.
Okay, any college students out there that are wondering if you're making a difference?
Right?
You're making a difference because, oh my
Right?
God, she totally did.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, I wish I could remember her name and contact her and thank her
Yeah.
for giving me my start and giving me a chance.
Right. Well, obviously you had a really good teacher too. Like, do you
Yeah.
remember her? Like, and the reason I ask is I wanted to play the piano, and I started playing piano, but I had a horrible teacher.
Oh, and it makes all the difference.
He made me hate it. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to practice. I didn't want any of that. I didn't want to go to the class at all. So, so I always say the teachers make such a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So from that, when did you start actually making like violin a thing for you in your career?
So it's funny, I played most my childhood and life just kind of considering it a hobby. And I was actually going to study it in college. I was about to go to BYU on a scholarship for violin. And then I just remember as I was preparing to go to college realizing I don't like it anymore. I don't like the violin anymore. And it was kind of heartbreaking because I'm so sorry. I think my phone.
Oh, that's okay. We keep it real here. I always say real, raw, inspiring. Well,
So
this is part
sorry.
of the real.
I put it on to make sure I didn't sleep in.
We're good. We're good.
But it was always my hobby, and I was about to go to college. Yeah, realized, oh my gosh, I don't really like this anymore. And again, I was like, I don't know when my passion had died, but I think I had just gotten burnt out from when I was in my teens. I had a really tough teacher that kind of beat some of the love of it out of me, and it had just become very uncreative. I was told exactly what to play. It's all written on a sheet. You played exactly how it says. Right. And it wasn't fulfilling me anymore to be told everything I had to do. And so I made the last minute change of I'm going to study film in school. I need to find my passion again for the violin. And so I wasn't going to give up on it, but I started to play with bands in college. I would go to open mic nights and I would find people that I thought were cool and I'd be like, hey, you want to jam sometime? Let's play some music. And I made the violin fun for myself again. And that was what made me start to then be like, well, I want to write. Could I do that? Could I write my own music? And so it turned the violin from something for me that felt like regurgitation into creation and making the violin fit me rather than me fit this instrument that has been played the same way for, hundreds of years, which is beautiful. And I have so much respect for classical musicians.
Right.
I personally don't think I was cut out to be that kind of a musician. There's different styles of musicians, and I just have so much respect for classical musicians, but it wasn't me.
Yeah. But I love that you took yourself out of the mold, because that is something that I think is a beautiful lesson right there, that if something isn't fitting the mold can be broken.
Yeah.
The mold can become whatever you want it to mean. How many things every day now with, glass ceilings, all this stuff is being shattered, because we think that life has to look one way and it doesn't at all. Wow. Okay, so when you're in college, then you're doing that.
Yes.
Well, one thing that you presented during the concert that I was very touched was when you talked about depression. Mm-hmm. And you spoke about how depression hit you, but then what you did to get out of it. And I was literally, I'm sitting here thinking we're just coming here to hear your music, and all of a sudden you say that, and it's still to this day. I listen to that, and sometimes I'll walk around, and I want you to elaborate a little bit more, but sometimes I'll walk around and I'll be sad about something and unhappy, and I hear your words. I do, and I hear.
What did I say?
It's when you said, as much as I practiced the violin and dancing, I had to also practice not being depressed.
Yeah.
So I hear those words sometimes if I'm sad or depressed about something. I'll go, practice that happiness, put on that smile. To this day, that's how impactful things like that are.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about though, what happened as far as depression, because right now, hearing your story, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. She's this, and then she had that little roadblock, but then she found how to make music going, and she's a happy-go-lucky kid. And where the heck does depression fit into all of this?
Well, for me, it happened when I was in college. And it all spiraled out of, I slowly fell into anorexia. And I can't pinpoint like a moment. And the thing is no one ever called me fat. Like no one ever, like I never had a moment that made me be like, oh, I need to stop eating. And, you know, for me, it was, I remember when I first started going to therapy, I almost felt like I didn't deserve to be anorexic because they kept digging and trying to figure out what happened. Did you have a bad childhood? Do you have daddy issues? Like, and I was like, no, I have the best parents and I had a wonderful life. But, you know, and I remember feeling like, wow, I don't deserve to have this problem because I'd go to group therapy and sometimes these other girls had been through so much. And
yeah, because even Karen Carpenter, she can pinpoint
she can pinpoint the spot.
Right, the spot when Billboard magazine, I think she hit #1, and they called her something like chubby.
Yeah,
and that was it, and it spun her out to her death, which is so sad because what a
sad
voice.
Yeah.
So I get that same thing with me. Well, I was going to tell you, like, because I suffered from bulimia, so I remember pinpointing it to. Unfortunately, hearing, you know, my friends and hearing my mom, and they're all talking about weight. Mm-hmm. And so that became that moment of, oh, well, I guess skinny is the way to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
continue.
So I mean, I was in college when it like slowly happened, and I think it was just, you know, I have the personality of a little bit of a perfectionist, an overachiever, and also I was feeling out of control with a lot of things. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life for the first time. Here I wasn't being a violinist anymore.
Oh, so you did take a break. It's not that you...
my career was once going to be a violinist, and then I switched. I was going to be a classical performer.
Got it.
And then all of a sudden I was like, well, what am I going to be? Maybe I'll like go to film. I don't know. I just felt so much unsurety, and I think it manifested itself as anorexia because I was trying to control my life so hard. And, you know, I think you can relate to this. The interesting thing about like an eating disorder is you feel like it's giving you control. You feel like you're hanging on to everything, but yet it starts to control you, and you become the most out of control you could ever be. But it lies to you and tells you that the only way you will hold together is if you hold on like this. Basically, it tells you the only thing keeping you together is this regimented like lifestyle and this facade of perfection, which I think the only way we hold on to it is by holding on to the disorder. Right. And it's this mask, this lie that we like get stuck in, or that I definitely got stuck in, and that's what fed and created my depression. Was anorexia.
Yeah. How did you get out of it? Do you remember like a time that something sparked?
Yes, I do remember that moment very vividly, and it's funny because it was a very like simple thing, but my sister was my roommate at the time in college, and at this point I'd been anorexic for several years by the time she came to college with me, and she was my best friend growing up. She's to this day is my best friend. But I remember she and my roommates were in the other room. I'm sitting on my bed like doing my homework, and I hear them hysterically laughing about something, some funny story that someone was telling, and I just was so depressed that I couldn't even get off my bed to go out there and be like, what's going on? I just felt like I couldn't. Felt like I wouldn't relate to them. I wouldn't be, I wouldn't fit in, you know, and like depression left me sitting on my bed, just listening, like wishing I was a part of it. Like that sounds so weird to say, but I just felt like, I don't know, at this time, happiness was almost like this thing that I just didn't think was possible for me. Wow. And so my sister comes in the room, she jumps on her bed, and didn't even really like look at me even, and then she starts doing her homework. And I remember looking at her and just having this overwhelming realization that I don't know who she is anymore. She like, I don't remember the last time we laughed together. I like don't know when we became strangers, but like, and it just broke my heart that my best friend and my sister, you know, I didn't have anything in common with her anymore and didn't even know who she is. And it sparked within me this realization that something has changed inside of me. And I've lost the most important thing in my life, which is my relationships. And I don't know, at that time, I didn't even know what it was, but I was determined to figure it out at that point. And it was worth it to me. Like, whatever has happened, I'm on a fight for to be myself again.
That's awesome. So what did you do? What's the first step you did?
First step was calling mom.
That's good first step.
Good first step.
First step's always the hardest.
It is.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and I didn't even know, I just kind of described to her how I felt, and I found myself very quickly going, you know, like really regurgitating a lot of things I'd never even talked to myself about. And I was like, Mom, you know, and finally I'm like, I think about food all the time. And she just said, that's not normal, Linz. And I described how I felt, and she's like, what you're describing is depression. And I was like, no, I'm not depressed. Like, that's not me. I'm always the happy one of the family. And she convinced me to go to therapy. And once I finally uttered the words, I'm anorexic, I think I'm anorexic, it was terrifying, and it was so hard to say, but at the same time, it was kind of like this weight was lifted off me, because finally I realized there was something I could like attack, for lack of a better term. Like, I had felt to that point that I had been broken inside. Like, literally I was broken. And suddenly, for the first time in years, I wasn't broken. Anorexia needed to be broken. And it was like this something had come into me that had consumed me, and I just had to get it out, rather than thinking that I was the actual problem. And there was a book I read called Life Without Ed that I think helped me more than anything, because this woman describes her eating disorder as Ed. She named it and personified it, and she talked about it like it was a dysfunctional, abusive relationship. You know, that this outside force was controlling her.
Where was this book where I was around? Because it took me a while.
It was a realization.
I saw it as bulimia, something wrong with you.
With you.
Like, right? So now had I seen it as, a bad relationship with this, I could have been like, oh, no, that? Okay,
like,
we're going to...
you've got to go.
And you got to go, and I can fix that. And so I would feel whole again. Because it was like, you just take that off.
And that's the thing is feeling, and it wasn't like this all was easy to like, I just would keep reminding myself, that's not me. And I decided to call it Ed. I was like, that's Ed. Like, and separating myself from it, so that as it slowly left me, you know, it's hard to feel like you're not losing a very important part of yourself, a very big controlling part of yourself. But I would be like, no, that's not me. That's Ed. And I need him to go away. And it helped me feel like, accept that I was whole without this huge part of myself, because it's consuming, and it had become such a big part of my life. It, you know, and like it isolates you, so you don't feel connected to other people, and you feel like that's all you have to rely on. It's a very like strange disease to try to describe to someone.
People that have never gone through it, they don't. It is hard.
It's hard to like. It's like, well, why would you do that to yourself? You're like, well,
right?
Because
especially for me, even though I've been through this eating disorder, I go, anorexia, I could never be anorexic because I love food too much. See, I'm the opposite. I would just binge. But I remember that I literally drove around and threw up 15 times. That was the day that it hit me. I would go to 7-Eleven. I would binge. I'd go to the McDonald's. I'd go to the bathroom. I'd throw it up. Then I would order from McDonald's, binge. Then I'd go to the next place. And finally it was when I threw up blood that was my light bulb.
Oh my gosh.
And that's when I went, I think there's a problem here, and got therapy. But it stayed for years, as far as like I'd be fine, and then boom, something would happen, and I would binge and you know, throw up again. So have you? I mean, now thank God I've gotten full control of it for years. I stopped doing, you know, when they say, I guess it's kind of like AA, where they say celebrate the year and then celebrate two. I couldn't do it, because when I went right up to the year, I would sabotage myself, and I'd go right back, and I'm going, well, didn't make that year, so let's try another year. And then I get so depressed because I couldn't make a year that I stopped counting. So now I literally don't know how long it's been.
Well, there you go.
But it's fine. But it's fine. So I think maybe that works for some people, but it didn't work for me. So you got to find whatever works for you, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So for you, did it linger for a while, or do you remember the time you were like, I finally got a handle on this? Yeah,
and it did linger. It wasn't like, and that's the thing is, when I talk to people about, like, you know, and you said, like, at my show, what was it that I said? That I work on my happiness the same way I work on my talents.
Yes.
And for me, that was a huge reason as to why I felt like, now that I know what you are, I can beat you. Because I remembered how it felt when I first started to learn. I taught myself to dance when I was in my 20s. And I remember how discouraging it was sometimes, being like, why doesn't it look right? You know, or why is this so hard? Or why can't I balance? You know, and same with the violin. I was like, I remember feeling how hard it was to get my, like, just my pinky to like bend the right way, and vibrato, like the fine-tuned things of what we do. No one would ever question that those things took years of work.
True.
But people don't think, like, our minds are so complicated. So of course it's going to take years of work to master them. And I don't consider my mind mastered. It's a lifelong process.
Yeah.
But to like train your brain to think in a more positive way, that can take years. And so like for me, it was a process of not only training the physical side of myself to not like restrict food and not over exercise, and like the physicality of it was just the beginning. The more important work was done mentally, of like catching those negative, horrible thoughts and turning them around. And at first, your brain's gonna think it's a lie when you say, "No, I'm beautiful. I do have worth. Like I'm a good person. You know, like all these things. I am strong. Like." Your brain recognizes lies and it puts them to one side, and then it puts truth in another category. So for a while, those things that you say and those positive things you think, they're going to go in the lie bucket, because your mind's like, no. We've been thinking that this is true for a long time. And so it took a long time of positive reinforcement and belief and, you know, gratitude journaling and going to therapy and talking out things for my mind to finally start to be like, okay, we've heard this enough that maybe that's true.
Yeah,
Maybe that's true. And so it was a process to get to a point, but I do remember going with my parents on my birthday to Cheesecake Factory, and I remember ordering a cheese pasta and eating it and not feeling like I hated myself for it.
Oh, I love that.
And it's so funny because like literally a year and a half prior, or like 2 years prior, I had done this, and I went specifically to Cheesecake Factory and ordered that pasta because 2 years prior I had been there on my birthday with my parents. And I had cried after dinner. Like I went in the bathroom and cried. Like I wanted to order something big so my parents wouldn't suspect that like something was wrong. But I remember them being like, "Are you okay?" Like, because they could just, like the amount of control that your mind has over you, feeling worthless because you ate cheesy pasta, like literally feeling like a failure and hating yourself. Yeah. That's a problem. That's going to consume your life. And I just remember the victorious moment of eating that cheesy pasta and being like, I feel fine.
Oh, that's awesome.
I feel fine. I feel
that's
great.
Awesome.
And to this day, I find that sometimes when I get super stressed and when I start to feel a little bit out of control over certain aspects of my life, or I'm really nervous about something, I feel not the physicality of anorexia come back. I don't start to like, you know, starve myself, but I feel the mental patterns start to come back. And like it used to show up as like relapses, you know, like falling back into it. Now it just shows up as mental patterns that I recognize so quickly now that I can, sometimes it will take me out for like, you know, a day. Sometimes it's like, a couple weeks of like being like, no, I gotta get back on top of this. It never gets to the physical level anymore, but I'm just so grateful I'm at a point now where I can recognize it and be like, no, I'm not gonna put up with you. Like you can't stay. And now I understand what people mean when they say it's a lifelong lifelong disease and it's never going to go away. And that used to be like, excuse me? Yeah. This is going to be with me forever? But I now understand that it's just something I have to stay on top of. And when I feel that voice come back, usually I can get it to go away pretty fast because I have this tool belt and I have all these things that I know that work for me. And I think to myself, I'm going to choose to practice happiness right now. And I'm going to choose the same way sometimes I get messy with my violin playing and I have to like, okay, we got to really dive in and practice and get that back on and, you know, get that back up to par. It's the same with my mind. And sometimes I have to just exercise my brain a little harder to stay on top of it when I feel it coming back.
Oh my God, that reminds me, or really not even reminds me, it just tells me that same thing is what all of us really need to do with thoughts that are not serving us, whether it's I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. I'm like, all of that is a disease.
It is.
Think about it. So you saying that, you know, the whole thing about this disease stays with you, which I've been told that, right? Mm-hmm. But so does the disease of thinking I'm not worthy at times. So does the disease, right? If you think about it, all of that is disease, all the negative talk. So it is a lifelong. That's why I was part of Powerful You, because I thoroughly 100% believe in going to seminars, reading these books, you know, all that to keep pounding and pounding. Shows like this is why I wanted to do Chasing Glory. Yeah. It's about shows and things that keep giving you positivity and how to work through all of that negative, abusive, disease talk you're doing.
The self-talk, everybody can relate to that. It's like once upon a time, ours was in the form of like food and sabotaging our actual bodies, but your mind is always under attack from, you know, and I like to think of it as like we all have a default setting that we kind of like, if I'm not super happy, like I didn't just have my birthday and get the best news of my life, you know, and if I'm not super sad, like with just like, you know, loss and grief, you sit somewhere at like a default setting of like when you're just going through your day.
Right.
And I've realized that as I've worked on my mind by doing gratitude journals, by listening to empowering podcasts, by reading positive books, or like talking to my therapist, like doing all these things that keep my mind at a better place, I notice my default setting shift to a higher plane. And the more I focus on it, and it doesn't last, and if I stop,
Right.
it goes back to like
Right.
a lower default where my like regular setting is a little bit lower. But I love it how I've seen the actual, like, I'm more filled with gratitude. I see, like, literally, as cheesy it is, the glass half full more often. I'm just a like brighter spirit when I am doing those things in my life that make my default at a much higher plane.
Love that.
And I'm like, it's been life-changing to
Yeah.
experience that. And like you said, that's something that anyone can do, and it's something that anyone can relate to.
But I want to ask you this, because people's perception right now of your life, like looking at this bio, reading the bio, all of that was mind-blowing. You should see your own Wikipedia. Holy moly.
I need to look at my...
Even more than Wikipedia, literally. Look it up.
What lies have you read?
I think it'd be good for you to see. I'll tell you why. We forget. Like, even when I was on a podcast one time and the guy was rattling off all this stuff, I was like, wow, I forgot that I've done all of that.
Yeah.
And in the moment, I didn't even appreciate all those moments because I was kind of wanting more and more and more. Right? So, but looking at your bio and reading it, and you know how we just read it going into this episode, I was sitting there going, there would probably be like things are going so well in your life and you've got this award and this performance and that performance. Like, where could there be any room at all for any sadness, any negative talk, any of that?
Yeah.
Tell me, please, because it seems like things are going so well for you, and you've got, like I said, so many awards, so many shows. You got your own show, you got your CDs, you got, all of these things. That where could that room be?
That's such a, it's funny. I think we all forget how powerful we are. Every single person. We're so much more powerful than I think we could even ever imagine. And I have to remind myself of that, because you're saying, like, we both have bios that people can read that tell how much we've done or how awesome we are. But yet, in spite of all that's been done and all that I've achieved and all of the things I'm grateful for, sometimes we forget. And, I think there's this imposter syndrome. I think a lot of artists and a lot of, people that are out there in the public eye, a lot of times you have this feeling of like, have I just like fooled everybody for the last while? Like, I'm not the best violinist in the world, and I'm not the best, we start to compare ourselves to other people and feel like perhaps you don't deserve what you've gotten. And
So you feel that sometimes?
Absolutely. And I have to work really hard to remind myself that, or like I'll think to myself, oh gosh, like I went down a rabbit hole like a while ago reading some negative comments. Everybody's got negative comments about them. And I couldn't believe how much it affected me to read, like, because, there are people that, there's like blogs written, I hate Lindsey Stirling. And like, why did I go there? Why did I allow myself to go there? I don't know. I saw it and I clicked on it. You just like, it's like I almost like couldn't help myself. But like, we have the choice of where we put our energy and our attention.
It is crazy, though. To think that there's even a blog out there that says that blows my mind.
I mean,
because they're obviously, to me, a lot of times, though, I think that that's coming out of pure jealousy.
And I think it is.
100%. There's no way. If anybody knew you, knew all the hours you sacrificed, knew the kind of show that you put in, everything that you 100%, and then the person that you are. Like I said, sometimes they say, be careful that you don't meet the people you admire. And so when I even heard that you were coming to Power For You, I was like, oh my God, Lindsey's coming. Oh my God, right? Because remember, I'm the girl that went to your concert in Santa Barbara. So I'm like, oh my God. And then a part of me goes, God, I hope she's nice. God, I hope she's nice. God, I hope she's nice. And then you couldn't have been nicer. Like, you're just so sweet and humbling and all that. So when I read stuff like that, or to know that things are out there written of you like that, I'm like, that's jealousy.
And that's the thing, is it has to come from, like, you don't just hurt people hurt other people.
You got it.
And so that's coming from someone else's hurt, whatever it may be. But I think today, like, people just put things out there, they say harmful things, and sometimes people forget that we're all going through our own struggles. We're all hurting in some way or another. And I don't care who you are, but I think we all have doubts about our self-worth, no matter how much we've done to prove it, because sometimes it seems like if you've got everything out there that it would prove to you that you're enough, but unless you believe it inside, nothing will, no bio, no award, no achievement, no beauty will ever convince you that you're enough unless you work inside. And that's what I consistently have to do if I'm not going to let doubt and fear, because sometimes the stakes are really high when you're, in the public eye. Like I have a new album coming out, or
let's talk about it.
And it probably just came out by the time this is, out. But it's terrifying to think about all the people that have worked on this and the teams that I'm with, my tour people, like all these people that, in a way, work with me on these things and that rely on me being successful for us to all keep doing what we love. And it's a terrifying thought that, what if this doesn't, what if this doesn't connect? And, but I even think about the first time I really learned this lesson was when I was anorexic and when I was coming out of it. Here I was, wanting to be thin, wanting to be skinny, and yet it was skinnier than I've ever been, reaching the goal that I thought I wanted, the outward acclaim of being enough. For me at that moment, it was being thin. And here I was eating nothing, way below what I should have weighed, and yet I looked in the mirror and still thought, if I could just lose a few more pounds, if I could just be a little bit thinner, tucking my sides in, wondering why my hips were so big. I was a skeleton. But it just, once I came out of that, it taught me this powerful lesson that no matter what you achieve outside, no matter how thin you get, you have to believe it inside that you're enough. Otherwise, everything else will never, ever prove it to you. And that's why, things like what you're doing right now, that's what people need to hear. And I loved, I love Harry Potter, and I love the quotes from Dumbledore. He talks a lot about light. And how, there's darkness all around us. You just sometimes have to turn on the light. And when I was overcoming my diseases, I remember thinking, well, I can't, no matter how much I try, I can't just take sadness out of me, no matter how much anyone is just be happy, just eat. I couldn't take it out of me. And you can't take darkness out of a dark room. It's impossible. But what is the solution?
Put yourself in another room.
Well, you put yourself in another room, or you turn on the light.
Oh, you turn on the light.
Darkness cannot compete against light. You turn on the light, you open that door, whatever it is, and light floods in, and the darkness has no power. And so that's the kind of approach I took to my mental health. It's the same approach I still take today, is I know I'm prone to depression now. I know I'm prone to anorexia, but it cannot compete if I'm filling my life with positivity and gratitude and light. The light starts to flood in, and suddenly there's not enough room in my brain for the powerful negative, because the positive is so much more powerful. Even though the negative is consuming and seemed like it was like a trap for a long time, it can't compete against love and positivity and service and kindness and gratitude. It just has no power over that.
I want to thank you for giving me another, like I said, I hear your voice. So now if ever I'm feeling down or anything, I'm going to go, turn on the light.
Turn on the light.
Turn on the light, Lil. When I said also even get into another room, I even, I talk about you got to protect your surroundings. You got to protect who's around you, the people that are in your life. And so sometimes you have to get into another room, meaning you have to change the situation that you're in or the people that you're around.
That's even better. Just get into another room.
Get into another room.
Get out of the way. Sit in the dark corner.
I love it. Oh my God, Dancing with the Stars. Oh, I watched you as Nikki Bella was competing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I love Nikki. You know what's funny is out of everyone on that season, I think Nikki was my favorite.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when I saw the cast on that first day, I don't think I thought to myself, she's going to be my friend here.
Yeah.
But we just had such a connection, and she's so real.
Yes.
And I just freaking love Nikki Bella.
Yeah. So I
cried when she got eliminated.
So did she.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She actually came on the show 2 weeks after that. She came on Chasing Glory, and she was very authentic and just talking about how for a whole week she was so sad.
Yeah.
And then, kind of got told you got to get out of it because she was really spiraling down, right?
Yeah.
But I think that experience for her really ignited. Well, now she's with
Artemis.
Yes.
How cute is that?
I know, right? So it was meant to be, and I'm sure she was struggling through a lot of things, because you think about it, when she was with Cena, and then all of a sudden she's dancing with Artem. I'm sure like a lot happened. With that whole situation for you. What did that mean for you to do the show? And it's so crazy, because I thought you won, and then I looked up and I was like, no, that's right, you were first runner up. I don't even remember who won. Like, that just tells you, no offense. But you made such an impact, and a lot of times that happens. You don't even have to be the winner to make such an impact. You made such an impact on that show. What did that show mean for you?
That show, well, I describe it as one of the funnest things I've ever done in my life. I've always wanted dance lessons. I taught myself to dance when I was in my 20s, but I mean,
and never had lesson?
Never. I mean, I've worked with choreographers since, but as far as like actual training, and so I was just like so excited to go in there, and I wanted to learn. I put in, anyone on that show puts in so much time. Like, it's more than a full-time job. And then, like, you know, Nikki and I and several of the other contestants were keeping up our other overly full-time job.
Right.
So not only was it one of the most fun things I've ever done and, like, fulfilling in that way, like, dream come true, it was also one of probably the hardest season of my life ever, because I had just had an album come out. I went on tour halfway through the season. So I was flying from coast to coast.
Remember that.
Like, literally, I didn't sleep more than, like, you know, I was exerting so much energy and yet sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night.
And that catches up to you.
That catches up to you. And, but the experience as a whole was so powerful. And you know what? I'm going to tell you a story that's ironically one of the most spiritual moments of my life that happened on Dancing with the Stars.
Really?
Yeah. And it's a very ironic thing, not expected when I went on the show that I would have one of my most powerful moments of my life. But here I was, you know, like I said, by the time that finale came, I was so tired. I had, like, at that point I was injured. I
remember that.
I had like displaced a rib, so I was in pain. I was like on tour, flying from coast to coast. My partner and I were so tired. But I remember as that ending was approaching, those last few weeks were so tough. I remember in my church we give blessings, you know, or we can get a blessing from a priesthood holder. And it's basically like a really special prayer where they put their hands on your head. And it's like a prayer, like, directly from God to you.
Wow.
And so I got this blessing, and I was told in the blessing that, like, angels will be with you every step of the way as you go through this experience. It's important, you know, and what you're doing right now is important. And more specifically, I'm going to get emotional, your Father will be with you. And he's not going to leave you through this experience. And so I remember just being like, suddenly I knew I had strength beyond my own. And I think a lot of times we just rely on our own strength. And whether you're religious or spiritual, or whether you don't believe anything, I think there's something to be said for believing in something greater than yourself. Whether it's the power of the universe, energy, nature, or if it's a belief in God. For me, it's a very powerful belief in God.
Yeah, me too.
And realizing that you can literally move mountains when you believe in something greater than yourself, and it's not just about me. And so I went forward for those last few weeks. When I remember when I would be going to bed at night, I'd say my prayer, and I'd be like, I have 4 hours to sleep right now. I'm exhausted, and I need it to count as 10. Please, like, multiply, like, this effect of sleep on me. And then I'd wake up in the morning, go to rehearsal, and I'd pray, and I'd be like, I have, you know, 3 hours to rehearse until I have to go to my meet and greet. I need it to count as 8 because I'm not ready. And like I'm about to go on stage for my show and I'm feeling foggy. I need to be there. Please help. You know, I prayed every step of the way. Just get me through the next hour. Just get me through the next hour. And when I made it to, finally, we're backstage at the finale.
Yeah.
And we're about to go on. And at this point, my brain is like literally on fumes, so tired.
Yeah.
And my body's exhausted and we're warming up. And I just forgot the routine. You know, it just, you know, it was like a dream when it's like slipping away.
Yeah.
And I just kept messing up. And my partner's like, what's going on? Like, he's starting to literally freak out because I'm missing like so many steps and we're about to go out.
Right.
And I just was like, I'm sorry, like, I'll be fine. But in my head, I was like, I'm not fine. And so then they called our names, and in, you know, just like in a daze, I'm like walking to the stage thinking like, I can't remember how it starts. Because I was so foggy and just
the worst.
Tired.
Yeah.
I've never been like that before. And so we get out there and they're on commercial break and I'm just like panicking, and then it comes out and this light hits me, and I just said my last and final prayer before that routine started, and I looked up into the light, and this time I asked specifically my dad, and I said, Dad, help. Yeah. Because here I was about to perform in front of millions of people, and you know what's funny, looking back on it, it didn't really matter. Like, it was a dance routine. I'm not a dancer, but in that moment, when you're on reality TV, you understand, it becomes everything.
It does matter.
It matters. And I had put months of my life into this, and I wanted it so bad at that point. And so it did matter to me in that moment. And then the routines, like, click, 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 the routine started, and like a dream, I did it. And I don't even remember really doing the steps,
you
but
not only did it, you did
I
it.
I slayed that number.
Unbelievable.
I did it better and more powerfully than I had strength or mental capacity to do. And I remember just feeling the most empowering, spirit. It wasn't me. I was being guided through those steps. Literally, I feel like by angels and by my dad. And funny, I never would have asked my dad for dance help in my life. He was not a dancer. But in that moment, I had a power that I didn't have on my own. Yeah. And I think that was such a good reminder and a teaching moment for me that I don't have to rely on myself. I've always known that, but I knew it stronger in that moment than I've ever known it in my life. And I remember when we finished that routine, I won.
Yeah.
I won Dancing with the Stars. In that moment, nothing could have taken that away from me. And I thought to myself, we just won, we're going to win. But even more so, I did the best I could have possibly done. And you can't ask for more than that.
Yeah.
And so when people are like, oh, you should have won, I'm like, I know, we killed it. I did win.
You know what I love about this is that now you can talk about it after, and it does talk about how you don't have to always be the win to feel like you won.
Right.
That is a huge lesson there.
A huge lesson. I don't have a mirror ball, but I won.
It's okay.
It's fine. I walked
away. Mirror ball would have just been collecting dust, where now you get to tell even a bigger story.
Right.
And I get it with the dads, because we were talking, our dads passed away just a month and 1 day from each other.
Yeah.
Well, let me just tell you, my dad loves to dance.
Oh.
So what happened is that he was teaching your dad some dance lessons. So your dad, by the time you were asking him,
I got this.
He goes, oh no, Lindsay, you don't understand. Mr. Garcia has been teaching me a thing or two.
Oh, I love it. He loved to dance.
Oh, my
so
dad had hips because he had that Latin blood in him.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, he was all about the merengue, salsa, all of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I have to show you a video of him dancing.
Oh my gosh, I have to see this.
You have to see this, but just to wrap this up, I love that you came on. I thank you so much.
Yes.
And we could go on forever. But to wrap things up for you, now here you are going into this new album, going into this new tour. You touring, is it in Mexico and Europe, or is it here?
Yeah, we're touring. We're starting out in Mexico and Europe, and then we'll be here back in the States in the spring.
I got to come back here.
Yes, I'll get you tickets. I'll hook you up.
Thanks. Yes. That'll be amazing from this angle, watching it, to now being your guest. That would be amazing. But what is it that you see as your bucket list? What is it that you see, I got to still accomplish that? Or, what is this life? Because you've done so much. People could say she's done more than most. Mm-hmm. If something right now, if she stopped, that's it. She should feel fulfilled. But what is it that you still feel like I have a calling to do?
I love storytelling. And I think that my calling is to continue to tell stories in different mediums. And so I've started to work on a play. I've always wanted to write a musical.
Nice.
And so, the next chapter I think might slightly be less about my name, less about right now everything I do is pretty much Lindsey Stirling's album, Lindsey Stirling on tour. And I would love to be the storyteller that doesn't necessarily have to be all about me. And I'm really excited to start to tell my own story through different mediums through a play, and I'll continue to do what I love to do. I love touring. I love writing albums, but also I just released a comic book along with the album.
That's awesome.
And it was really fun to write my story through a fictional character. And I've done it through little 3-minute vignettes and music videos like the ballerina and, all these different characters I've put into my videos. But this was a full arching story that is about light versus darkness. And, you know, the album's called Artemis, and Artemis is the goddess of the moon. And I love that symbolism of not only is she about bringing light, but she's strong enough to shine in the dark.
Oh, that's perfect with everything we've been talking about.
Everything we've been talking about. And like the fact of, you know, this character in the comic book is Artemis, and it's about her daughter who is tied to her powers are tied to the moon. And so you know how the moon goes through cycles. And sometimes it's fully lit and bright and beautiful, and other times it starts to wane.
You're
and
right.
Sometimes you would look at the moon, and if you didn't know better, you'd think it wasn't there anymore. But I love the analogy that just because the moon is covered in shadow doesn't mean that she's not still there, and that she won't fight back the shadows to reclaim her full light. And I think that sometimes in mental health, I have felt like I've been completely covered in shadow and like I've completely lost myself. And whether it was through actual anorexia or depression, or whether it was through grief of losing my father and my best friend, I felt like I've been covered in shadow. And sometimes I thought to myself, maybe this is the new me. Maybe this is what grief has done to me, and I will never be that happy-go-lucky girl again. But that's not the truth.
Right.
I just was grieving. I was covered in shadow. I went through it. I felt it. And now I feel like finally, after years, I'm back to my full light again. And it's not that I wasn't there. It's just that I was covered up a little bit. And so that's the story of the album and of Artemis and of my comic book. And, you know, my hope is to continue to, because it's very relatable when I tell it, but it's also really powerful when it comes through a narrative. And so I'm excited to tell stories in different mediums through like this comic book, through the play I'm writing, through hopefully like writing for TV and, you know, more on that lines. And so those are kind of some of the bigger picture stuff that I hope to someday share.
I'm so thankful that you've shared all of this, because looking at you, talking to you, you seem like such a bright light all of the time, that knowing that there are sometimes those shadows makes it more relatable, because people have said that with me. Wow, you got so much going on. Yeah, how could you be unhappy? You know, but if I say, yeah, there's times that I'm just not happy and I struggle through my own things, then when people feel that themselves, they're not feeling so alone.
Right. We all feel it.
We all do.
You know, sometimes you just got to accept that today it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something that grief has taught me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's important to feel. It's important to grieve. It's important to feel the sadness or just honor what you're feeling, but don't live in it.
Right.
Like you can visit those things, and I think you have to, because you got to feel them out. But that doesn't have to be your home.
Yeah.
It can be a little vacation spot, and then
the worst vacation ever, but
yeah, you don't want a vacation to those spots, but I do feel like it's important to feel them, and it makes you relatable, and to cry to your therapist, to cry to my mom, like. But I'm not going to live there anymore.
Right.
I lived there for way too long, and now it's time to fight back.
High five on that one.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, this has been awesome. Tell everybody where to find you, because you have all these different platforms, and I want everybody to know.
Okay. Well, find me on YouTube. Find me at my website, lindseystirling.com. You can listen to my music on Spotify, and I hope you come find me on tour.
Yes,
I'm touring the world.
And social media?
On social media, just at Lindsey Stirling on all the things. So
all things.
Come visit me.
It's amazing. She's incredible. Check her out, because really blew my mind, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I'm going to be at her show.
Yeah, VIP. I got you.
All right, that was awesome. Oh my God, that was awesome.
Chasing Glory with Lilian Garcia.
What a sweetheart, am I right? What an incredible journey, and what a hard worker. I'm so proud of Lindsey. I'm so proud now that I feel like I can call her a friend. She's just so, so sweet. And Lindsey, I want to continue supporting you in whatever you do, because you have worked for this and you've gone through so much in your life. And so I appreciate you taking the time, because I know how busy you are with a brand new record that just came out. And I'm just so proud and just so happy that you came here to be on Chasing Glory to share your story with all of us. Now, make sure you guys share this with anyone out there that you feel that can benefit from this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for the reviews. Make sure you go to Apple Podcast and continue the 5-star rating and also write those reviews because that helps the show. And make sure you follow, subscribe right now on YouTube. Lilian, it's youtube.com/Lilian Garcia. And then that way you can get alerted when the next episode is up. Like I said, you can listen to it on audio and then you can turn around and watch it later if you want, or the reverse. Do both. It doesn't matter. Make sure you follow the show at Chasing Glory Podcast on Instagram, at Lilian Garcia on Instagram and Twitter, and then at Lilian Garcia on Facebook. Well, it's Lilian Garcia official fan page. So many places to find everything. Sometimes I want to hide, but I can't. And it's okay because I love you guys. So go out there, as always, live with much peace, love, and passion. And I want to thank, before I give my final sign off, to audible.com/Lilian Garcia. You can get your free 30-day trial there and also a free download and 2 original audiobooks. So make sure you check that out. Also, make sure you go to mybookie.com. Want to thank them. And you can get up to $1,000 in first deposit bonus by using the promo code GLORY. So check that out. And curednutrition.com. Use the promo code GLORY and you'll get 15% off. So all of them are helping bringing the show for free to you. Okay, it's time, remember, to always be yourself and trust that it's enough. Bye, guys. Love you. See ya.
Thanks for joining us here on Chasing Glory from executive producer Lilian Garcia. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends and be sure to subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite shows.